You ever have one of those days that starts with a bad feeling, like there's a storm waiting to hit, but you just can't tell if it's going to be thunder or just heavy air? That's exactly how this story starts for me. Sitting there in first class, my hands resting on those cold armrests like I'm holding onto the last shreds of peace before turbulence hits. And right beside me, my dog at last, not just a pet. He's the one thing that stands between me and the edge, some days resting his head against my leg, eyes half closed, but I know he's paying attention. 27 years in Delta Force teaches you a lot about pressure hell. I've been through shootouts, bombings, missions that didn't make the evening news, but nobody tells you that sometimes it's the small stuff that really pushes you over. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's a flight attendant in a perfect little Navy uniform telling you your service dog is blocking the aisle when he's not even close. So she says, all sharp edges, "Sir, that animal cannot be in the aisle." I look down. Atlas is where he always is, right at my side. I tell her calm, "Ma'am, my service animal is not in the aisle." I keep my voice steady because, believe me, there's a lot of history behind it. She doesn't like that. I can see her scanning the cabin for backup, glancing at this older couple across the aisle, white hair, expensive, everything, who suddenly find me real interesting. Then she comes back with, "Well, he's going to need to be moved to the rear of the aircraft. It's against our policy." Her foot's tapping like she's got somewhere better to be. That's when Atlas leans in a little closer, and I feel the warning, the grounding. He knows me. He knows when the world's getting too loud. I try to keep it cool, reach for the paperwork I carry everywhere, and tell her I have documentation for my service animal, and he's allowed under federal law. I barely get the words out before, out of nowhere, she steps forward and her foot connects with Atlas' leg. He helps slow, wounded. Everything just freezes. No one says a word, not even the folks across the aisle. Now, let me back up a sec. There's a part of meth part that used to run operations in places you can't find on a Mayfie wakes up. You wouldn't know it by looking at me. I don't stand up, don't raise my voice. I don't have to. But that feeling, it's back. That old ghost. And I know if I don't control it, everything changes. So I draw a deep breath, the way my VA doc taught me, and I tell her, what you just did is not only against airline policy, it might even be illegal. Still calm, but there's a line now. It's like the universe wants to turn the screw just a little more. All the passengers are watching, some pretending not to, some pulling out their phones. Then another attendant, Michael, his name tag says, walks up. "Everything okay here, Patricia?" Michael asks, real gentle. Patricia, the original attendant, doubles down, insisting Atlas is blocking the aisle, but Michael actually looks. He sees what's real. He kneels a little, talks directly to me, asks, "Is Atlas a service dog?" I nod, tell him about the PTSD, how Atlas helps me manage the shakes, the flashbacks, the whole invisible baggage I drag around. Michael nods. "Thank you, sir. He's welcome here." "Patricia, can I talk to you?" She mutters something under her breath, but she goes. Suddenly, the energy shifts, and the silver-haired lady across the aisle leans over and says, "That was handled very poorly. Are you two okay?" I give her a nod. "We're fine, ma'am." She introduces herself as Margaret Whitaker, her husband Thomas nodding along. Tells me he's retired Army, 82nd Airborne. Suddenly, there's this weird moment of connection. Across all the noise and tension, we're just two vets swapping stories about dogs, deployments, and how sometimes coming home is harder than anything the battlefield throws at you. But in the back, a young woman is taking notes. Aaliyah Johnson, a journalism student with sharp eyes. She's watching, writing, and I can tell this story is just getting started. The flight drags on. Patricia avoids me. Michael's checking in, and the Whitakers are swapping stories about grandkids and barbecues. Atlas settles on my feet, pressing his weight in just the right way, and for a minute, the world goes quiet. Then the captain's voice comes on. "Turbulence over the Rockies." The plane dips, people gasp, Margaret white-knuckles the armrests. "Not a fan of turbulence," she says, laughing like she's trying to convince herself it's fine. I give her the usual, "It's just air pockets, ma'am." But there's a camaraderie now, the kind you only find in odd places. Landing comes faster than I expect. The crowd's up before the seatbelt sign's off, shoving, bumping bags. Michael catches my eye, tells me the captain wants a word. I get Atlas ready and wait until the aisle's clear. The Whitakers waiting too. No sense getting trampled at our age, Thomas jokes. Up front, the captain's waiting Robert Daniels, sharp blue eyes, crew cut you could land a dime on. He shakes my hand, addresses me by rank. Master Sergeant, he says, and right away, I know this guy's been there. We swapped service years Air Force, Iraq, knows the game. He apologizes for Patricia, hands me a form for a formal complaint, offers to calm my next flights. I shake my head. I'm not looking to ruin anybody's career. Maybe she just needs a lesson, not a pink slip. He looks relieved, says, we'll use this to make things better for the next guy. That, I can respect. Atlas, and I step off the plane, the noise of the terminal hitting me like a wave. The Whitakers catch up, invite me to dinner. I'm not the social type, not anymore, but something about them genuine, open makes me want to try. Before I can answer, that journalism student, Aaliyah, pops up, asks for a moment of my time. She's working on a story about bias, wants to hear my side. I give her my card, call the office, set something up. She's not backing down, and I get the feeling she'll find the story whether I talk or not. The ride home is quiet. Atlas dozes in the back, the Denver skyline rising against the evening sky. I check my phone. Margaret's sent me her number, inviting me again for dinner. Zoe, my daughter, texts out of the blue. Breakfast tomorrow? My heart stutters. She's the one thing I regret: missed birthdays, missed recitals, growing up while I was gone. Maybe this is a second chance. Dinner with the Whitakers turns out better than I expected. They introduce me to their daughter Elizabeth, an architect who talks about preserving the past without getting stuck in it's a mething I know a little about. Just as we're settling in, who walks in but Patricia, the flight attendant, with a man who's probably her husband. She's tense, avoids looking our way, but as the meal wraps up, she actually stops by our table. I believe I owe you an apology, she says, and for a second I'm back in the desert, deciding if I trust a stranger who wants to surrender. I thank her. Not forgiveness, not yet, but maybe the first step. Margaret's eyes get a little misty. Most people want to do the right thing if you give them a shot, she says. When I get home, Zoe's text is on my mind. I barely sleep. Next morning, I'm early at Anita's cafe, Atlas at my feet. Zoe arrives sharp, driven, everything her mother and I hoped for. She tells me she's been offered a 2-year fellowship with Doctors Without Borders, headed for Ukraine. Part of me wants to beg her not to go. The other half can't help but be proud. She asks if I can help her prep. I need your expertise. Then she asks, not as a doctor but as my daughter, about the recital I missed when she was 12. I tell her the truth covered up. Libya lives at stake. She finally says, I think I get it now. Maybe we're both learning something. Back at my office, I meet with Aaliyah. She asks all the hard questions: why I stayed calm, how I deal with bias, what I'd want others to know. I tell her, responding to bias takes energy. Not everyone has it every day. The burden can't just fall on the people living it. Allies have to step up too. She nods, says she'll send me the article. That weekend, Atlas and I jog the park. I think about dinner with the Whitakers. Elizabeth invites me to their Sunday barbecue. And for the first time in a long time, I want to say yes. I text Zoe, invite her for dinner before she leaves. She agrees. Thanks, Dad, she writes. Those 2 words mean more than any medal. Sunday, Atlas and I pull up to the Whitakers' place, big house, laughter spilling out, real food on the grill. The sun's warm, and for a moment, I'm just another guest, not the ghost they whispered about back in the Army. Aaliyah's article drops. That night headline reads, Service, Silence, and Standing Your Ground. Comments start flooding in, some angry, some hopeful. People talking, finally. There's no perfect ending here. I know that. But as I watch Atlas chase a ball across the lawn, Zoe laughing with new friends, Margaret handing out sweet tea, and even Thomas, the old paratrooper, telling stories, I feel something shift. Like maybe, just maybe, I'm coming in for a landing I didn't think I'd get. The scars, the regrets, the missed chances theory not gone, but they're not running the show anymore. So here's the thing: everybody talks about justice, about making things right. But sometimes it's just about standing up, speaking out, owning your part, and letting others own theirs. That's how things start to change. If you got thoughts about right and wrong, about what justice really means, don't keep quiet. Speak up. We need every voice, even when it shakes. Yeah, that happened. And maybe next time, it won't go down the same way.